Welcome to the Cruise Retreat Podcast. Hi, I'm Rita Perez, and I'm a travel advisor specializing in, you guessed it, cruise ship retreats. This podcast is for service-based entrepreneurs and corporate decision makers to learn more about staying everyone's favorite company with a cruise ship retreat. Ready to increase your client or employee retention? Listen in on this week's show. Welcome back to the podcast. Happy Travel Tuesday. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. So this is going to be a more relaxed episode because we got lots of awesome cruise news coming at us. Cruising will be officially restarting for Americans this summer. Woo! I am just so ecstatic. I remember it wasn't this past Friday, but it was 2 Fridays ago when we just got bombarded, happy bombardments of such amazing cruise news that, oh my gosh, we've been waiting for over a year, guys. It has been that long since we got that announcement. March 13th is when cruising was suspended from the United States. Now, cruising is still suspended from the United States, so the cruise lines have savvied up, and they are not sailing from the United States right as of this moment, as of this recording. Hopefully that changes sooner than later, but the cruise lines are being like, you know what, we're not going to wait for you, CDC, to make a decision. So they have gone ahead and they are going to be sailing from international ports and happily welcoming us as Americans back on the ships. Woohoo! Man, I know there's so many of us that are raring to go and get out there. Now, the one big caveat that I want to put out there, you must be vaccinated in order to sail on these cruises. So I know for the majority of you are not going to have any problem with that. I not that I have a problem with that personally, but because I have an autoimmune condition, I'm just a little bit more, hesitant with getting the vaccine right now is the right word. Not that I'm hesitant forever. I just want to know some more things about the vaccines and how they play a role in autoimmune patients like myself, because most of the testing was done on patients that are perfectly normal, no problems. And man, do I wish I was one of those people. But unfortunately, I am not. So right now, I am a little bit grounded, as I have been. But I am hoping that either awesome new research comes out, or maybe this vaccine requirement does change, because in Europe, they have been sailing without a vaccine requirement, and they have been sailing since last August. So they did take a hiatus for a little bit when cases were going back up, but then they're actually starting to cruise again this month, actually. So it is possible, and it is possible to do it safely, but I think this was the kind of like the win-win for both the places that they'll be sailing out of and for people to feel comfortable sailing again. So whatever gets people back out traveling, I am for, even if I just have to wait just a little bit longer. So I wanted to go over some of the itineraries that are open and out there. And this is like an ever-evolving situation, meaning that I think there's going to be more itineraries just like this that will help us start getting back out there and start getting cruising. Now, I know that we are not actually doing cruise retreats just yet. And honestly, like at this point, with everything that's been going on with the CDC as well, I wouldn't recommend booking any cruise retreats in 2021 from the United States. I think for retreat wise, we have to start focusing on 2022 and 2023. But if you as an individual want to go out and be free, then yes, we can go ahead and book those cruises for you and get you guys taken care of. So where can these cruises sail out of? We have 2 round trip Bahamas, woohoo, And then we have a round trip St. Martin, a round trip Bermuda, a round trip Cyprus, and a round trip Athens, Greece. Woo! Yes, it is not just the Caribbean. We are also going back to the Mediterranean this summer. Yeah! And now these cruises have a lot of different timelines. So I've actually created a guide for you. So go ahead, check the show notes. There's going to be a link with the summer 2021 cruise guide, and you can go ahead and check out all the different itineraries. I put some beautiful photos of me, but also of the places that you'll be visiting. So that is kind of going to be your keepsake. So, I mean, obviously I'm going to tell you some stuff on here, but if you wanted to keep that and just have it as a handy guide, there is going to be that available as well. Now, I have luxury sailings available, and then I do have contemporary sailings available. I am only going to be booking balcony cabins and above. So balcony cabins start at approximately $1,200 per person, and they go all the way up to $2,700 per person, or higher than that. The $2,700 is going to be more of a luxury option. So it really depends on what you want to do, what kind of experience that you would like. The ships are not sailing at full capacity. Another woohoo! So you are not going to feel cramped. For the most part, they are sailing at about half capacity. Some of the ships are larger ships, some of the ships are smaller ships. So again, there's lots of different options. So let's dig into our first one. It is a round trip Bahamas. So you are going to be flying into Nassau. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of each island or each destination and what they require as far as PCR testing. Just know COVID vaccination for most of these itineraries is going to be required for 18 plus, and you need to have that vaccination done at least 2 weeks prior to sailing. You must have the complete dose. So if you're getting a vaccination that requires 2, that last dose has to be into your body at least 2 weeks prior to sailing. On top of that, there's going to be requirements for COVID testing. On top of that, you are going to be tested prior to boarding the ship and just before you depart the ship. So at the beginning and at the end of your cruise, you're going to be getting tested. Those testings, anything that happens on the cruise ship is going to be covered in your cruise fare. So that is not an extra fee. And that also helps because, as you may have heard, to re-enter the United States, you do need to have a COVID test. So those are the specifications. Now, when you need to do COVID testing to enter an island or a country, that is what is going to be specific to the island or country. Some islands or countries also are requiring certain health visas. So that's another conversation that we can have separately. And then I just was finding out some places are also going to be mandating that you purchase travel insurance, which I'm kind of recommending to everybody anyways, because it's just especially in these times, and especially with all the wackiness that we went through last year, you just don't want to be traveling without travel insurance. I know I am not going to be doing that anymore myself. So, round trip Bahamas. So this first itinerary sails out of Nassau. And you can visit Coco Cay, you can visit Cozumel, so yes, going back to Mexico, and Grand Bahama Island. Oh, another thing, for most of these itineraries, they are going to be 7 nights. Woo! There are some of the Mediterranean cruises that I'm going to mention. There's a variation, so it could be a 6, 7, or an 8-night cruise. So that is the first Bahamas itinerary. That is sailing June through August of this summer. Now we move on to round trip Bermuda. It sails from the Royal Navy Dockyard. And most cruises from Bermuda, they do overnight in Bermuda because really there's no other islands close to Bermuda. So why not spend 2 or 3 days in a beautiful pink sand beach, teal ocean waves. That is what Bermuda is all about. So you get a couple of overnights in Bermuda, and then you're going to sail to Coco Cay in the Bahamas, and then head back up to Bermuda. Now, our first Mediterranean option sails from the country of Cyprus, and that goes to Athens, Rhodes, Crete, Mykonos, and Santorini. And this one sails July to October, which is wonderful. So much history out there. Now we're heading back to the Caribbean, going to St. Martin. I can imagine those delicious guava berry coladas. I cannot wait. This sails out of Phillipsburg, St. Martin, and it goes to some of this. I just love this itinerary. It goes to some of my favorite islands. You can go to Curacao, Aruba, and Barbados. All beautiful, beautiful beach areas, which is just what we all need right now, right? And then the second St. Martin itinerary goes to Tortola, which another destination that I love. It also stops at St. Lucia and Barbados. Now, these St. Martin itineraries are a really great option if you have extra time to spend, because each itinerary is 7 days. But if you wanted to go away for 2 weeks, you're like, I need an extended vacation, 7 days is not going to be enough. You can book one itinerary first and then hop on the next sailing and book the next itinerary. So you can do both of those at once for 2 weeks. Then we're going to go back to the Mediterranean, and these sailings are pretty exciting. The first one is a Greece and Cyprus. So the previous Mediterranean I mentioned sails from Cyprus. This Mediterranean is actually going to sail from Athens, and it will visit Cyprus, Rhodes, Mykonos, and Santorini. Now, there is one sailing that, and I hope I say this right, that we can stop at Chania and Crete. So super fun. And I love how they give lots of different options. So if you just want, the regular itinerary, you can do the regular itinerary. If you want to go ahead and do a couple extra stops, you can do that as well. That Mediterranean sailing is from June through September. And then now this one is the one that I'm super excited about. This one sails July through September. It is round trip Greece and Israel. So you sail from Athens to Rhodes, Jerusalem, and Haifa. Those destinations are always going to be included in this Greece-Israel itinerary. There are other itineraries that have a mixture of Santorini, Mykonos, and Jerusalem overnight that are available. So they're not all available on one itinerary, but again, it's kind of like a puzzle piece. So if you really want to have Santorini, I can make sure that you go ahead and are booked on one of the Santorini bookings. If you really want to go ahead and do a Jerusalem overnight, that's another thing that I can make sure to pay attention to when we're booking your sailing. And finally, we have a awesome luxury round trip Bahamas. And this one's really cool because you get to sail to the smaller islands in the Bahamas. So that includes Bimini, Harbor Island, Great Exuma, San Salvador, and Long Island. And that one sails July to October. So that, I feel like that is incredibly awesome that we have a couple of months sailings, even if it's not from the States. I mean, lots of these locations are really easy to get to, like Nassau. For some of the Bahamas sailings, you don't even have to fly. There's a ferry from South Florida that you can take. So I'm not sure if myself, as someone who does get motion sickness, would do that. So I might just be better flying in. But that is an option if motion sickness is not something that is going to affect you. So what do you think? What do you think about these awesome itineraries that we have out? Like I said, I don't think these are going to be the only ones, but I think that this is a really great starting point. Some of these itineraries, they're already 25% booked up because remember, the ships aren't sailing at full capacity, so they're not going to have as big as capacity as we used to in prior years, aka before the Rhone. So I'm just so excited that we can go out. There's lots of time to go ahead and get these things taken care of, aka get your vaccine if you wanted to get out there. And man, it is just, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So again, if you want to get a copy of this guide straight to your email, make sure to click on the link that is in the show notes. It will give you all the information, also how you can reach out to me if you would like to go ahead and get started in planning one of these awesome vacations for summer, because we just can't stay cooped up at home this year. We need to get out there. And if spring break has been any indication, we are raring to go and getting out there again in the world. So that is it for me. I hope this has helped to start a little bit of dreaming again. And yeah, cruises are restarting. Maybe not what we were thinking, not the way that we were thinking they'd be restarting, but they are going to be restarting, and sooner than, June is only 2 months away practically. So, man, if I could, I would be on a ship right now. So, all right. I'm going to leave you. You guys have a fantastic Tuesday. Check out the show notes for the link if you want to get this guide to your inbox straight. And I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you for joining me on the Cruise Retreat podcast. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.